Good evening, everybody. How are we all doing? Hope we're having a good week so far. It's almost the weekend. It is Thursday the 31st of January. Tomorrow we start February. About flipping time. Anyway, so here I am to review last night's episode of Arrow titled Betrayal, episode 12. Guest starring Seth Gable. Those of you who watch Fringe will know him. He plays the Count, all to do with the drug Vertigo. If you remember from last week's episode, this was the narcotic drug that Thea took on her 18th birthday, and she pretty much had a car accident. So she got arrested for that, and this episode featured her pretty much going to court, and the judge basically saying that they couldn't. The appeal was sort of turned down to treat her as a juvenile, because even though she took the drug officially 2 days before her actual 18th birthday, she's treated as she was seen as a juvenile. She had no prior mishaps per se, even though I remember a few episodes back her mother did say how she always used to get in trouble with the police, and they always swept it under the rug kind of thing with the police, paid them off sort of thing. But this time was slightly different. Obviously the judge was wanting to make an example out of Thea. Mrs. Queen really didn't want that to happen, neither did Oliver. So how it all goes on from there is quite intriguing. But I will say that overall this episode was very underwhelming. Okay, Seth Gable as the Count didn't do too badly, almost had the accent down, but I've seen comments and read some reviews, and I think a lot of people are in agreement in that Seth didn't really play the Count in the way that they were expecting. He was too cartoonish. Some people compared him to Heath Ledger's Joker, which I think was a bit too much, to be fair. But there was a campiness about him as well, which there was. At the same time, obviously Oliver himself gets hit with the drug Vertigo as well, so he's drugged per se, and at one point in the episode Diggle tries to test his accuracy by basically saying, if you can shoot this tennis ball out of my hand, then you can go and chase after the Count. And obviously he couldn't do it, and then Oliver turns around and says to Diggle, I don't need the bow kind of thing. But let's be honest, Green Arrow is all about the bow. Yes, he can fight without it, but the bow essentially is an integral part of the Green Arrow character. Now, what people need to remember is that this is a character about Oliver Queen, in his journey to fully becoming the Green Arrow. As yet, yes, he is known as the Hood to everybody else out there. He hasn't come up with his own code name or anything. It's the same thing with Smallville, where Clark Kent is a super-powered alien, but no one has given him. He didn't come up with the code name Superman or anything like that. So, it's the journey that Oliver is taking. We get the flashback to the island, and I think this flashback was pretty interesting. Remember last week how Yao Fei pretty much was revealed as working for this English dude who's on the island as well, whereas this time things seemed a little different, and it also helped in what Oliver was achieving to bring down the Count, so to speak. All that's going on. What I will go back to saying about Thea, and I was having a lovely little conversation with my evil twin known as Scorch on Twitter yesterday, and he did not like the way that Thea was treated in terms of how she got off lightly, because Oliver seeks out Laurel to speak to Quentin to try and completely get rid of the whole Thea needs to go to trial to be sent to prison side of things, and go on probation, 500 hours community service, that type of thing. Most people I think saw that as a racial thing. Now I did not see it as that at all. All I saw was a rich young girl being given the opportunity of trying to make her life right by doing things in a probational manner, having the community service, as opposed to going to jail for what she did was clearly a bad thing. As I said, the judge wanted to make an example out of Thea, but Oliver and her mother were not wanting to do that. So they, some people were tweeting that if it was a black girl or a black guy or a Hispanic or Latin American person, they would not have gotten away with that sort of thing. And I was like, well, let's not look at it in a racial manner. She's a rich girl, her mother's got a lot of money. I was half expecting Moira to be the one to brush the whole thing past with money. I didn't expect Oliver to go seeking help from Laurel whatsoever. I was hoping that maybe Moira was going to be the one to do it, but no, it was Oliver. So that was very surprising for me. So yeah, try not to look at that side of it. Yes, Thea is annoying. We know she's annoying. She is an annoying little brat. Okay, she can be very annoying. Okay, she's arrogant. She's cocky. She thinks she's above everybody else. What she's doing to her mother, because she thinks her mother cheated on Walter as well as her dad, all that sort of stuff. She's doing all of this to get at her mother, and it was just like, well, I was saying to a few people, just remember how Lana was written in Smallville. Okay, if you're going to blame someone about Thea's, portrayal, it's the writers. Okay, not how she's played out by Willa Holland, but how she's written. So, hopefully, Thea will get better character development as the season goes on. On the villain side of things, as I say, I have been reading again regarding people's frustration about how these villains have been treated so far in the show. They make an appearance and then suddenly they disappear just like that. We already know that obviously Kelly Hu as China White is going to be back on. We know that Jessica Howe as Huntress will be back on as well. Obviously Deathstroke Slade Wilson is going to be appearing as well in his facial flesh kind of thing, in a form of Manu Bennett. So what about the Count? Well, the Count will be reappearing at some point. So what happened to him at the end is again going to fall in line with how he's portrayed in the comics, and we're hoping, fingers crossed, that maybe Seth can actually portray the Count in the way that he should be portrayed. I know a lot of people aren't happy as well of the way that Arrow has been written, how it's visualized as well. It has got the Dark Knight feel to it. It has got a Batman Nolan verse feel to it. We get that, but again, try to block that out. Okay, try to block all of that out and just see that this is a show about a guy who spent a few years on an island, got treated like absolute crap. I mean, there's a fight scene between Oliver and Yao Fei, which was quite brutal, but I felt that Yao Fei was not actually beating up Oliver as much as he should have done. So he was clearly playing up to it. But as I say, it's the portrayal of a guy who was marooned on an island after a boating accident, develops some skills, comes back to his city, and is trying to now make a difference in the city. Okay, yes, in many ways it does follow the Nolan versus Batman in like Batman Begins kind of thing, but again, block it out. Okay, just look at what the show is actually about. Okay, here's a guy who's come back, everything's changed, his family are not the same, he misses his father, he knows his father wasn't the saint that he thought he was, because his father eventually spilled his guts to him, literally. But it's all about how he's got to cope and deal with everything that's happened to him, what he's looking to do as time goes on, looking after his family, his mother and his sister in particular. He's got Diggle as his sidekick. Then you've got Felicity Smoke on there, and I've just read, by the way, that Felicity is going to be now part of Oliver's team. I can't wait, because I love Emily Bett Rickards, and I think everybody's in agreement that we do love Emily Bett Rickards, don't we? We do. Lipping, yes, we do. So yeah, as I say, very underwhelming overall. Could have been better. The campiness of the Count was overly done, but I do think that there's room for potential. I'm hoping that as villains come back, they will be different to how we've seen them before. Yes, the whole villain per week storyline is starting to get a bit boring and overused. We need something strong. We need like like we had with Smallville. Obviously, the first few seasons was all about Freak of the Week, but after that, you had a specific villain per season. You know, season 5 was who was it in season 5? Brainiac. Season 6, pretty much Lex Luthor and his 33.1 side of things. So you know, every season in season 7 was it Bizarro? Was that season 8? No, season 7 was Bizarro. Season 8 was Doomsday. We know how that one ended. Season 9, obviously Zod, and then season 10, Dark Side. But yeah, we won't go into that one. But yes, something like that. You have to have a villain as the big bad for the whole season, and hopefully, fingers crossed, whatever's happening for the rest of the season, we'll have something like that. Whispers are coming around that maybe that it could be the Count that is this season's big bad, which in essence they have actually said that the Count is actually this season's big bad, which is interesting that he's coming this late into the season. How he's going to be portrayed for the rest of the season for another 11 episodes, because we get 23 episodes in the first season and we're only in episode 12, so 11 more episodes to go. It'll be interesting to see exactly how the Count re-emerges and where we go from there. Okay, anyway, I think I've spoken enough. I think I'm probably bored the fuck out of you lot now, so I do apologise, but let me know what you thought of it. As I say, personally for me, very underwhelming, could have been better. I do feel that some character developments are going the right way. Diggle in particular is doing well. We love Diggle. We love, obviously, Felicity Smoke, as I've already said. I hope things change for Thea. They've got to change. Tommy and Laurel, please separate those two as soon as possible. The sooner the better. Can't fault Quentin Lance. And this new detective now who's arrived by McKenna Hall or something like that. We'll see what her part is in all of this. I'm not too sure about her, to be perfectly honest. Moira, interesting that she's gone from villain to slightly someone we should be worried about or care about. Again, what is her purpose? No idea. We know about Malcolm Merlyn. We're still trying to figure out what's happened to Walter Steele. I haven't watched the preview for next week's episode yet, so I'll check that out and then I'll find out what may be happening with Walter, because I think he might have been featured in that trailer. So yeah, so many things going on, so many character developments, so many villains have arrived. I'd like to, we've got to get China White back. We're obviously going to get Huntress back as well. Slade Wilson will appear at some point as well. So all guns blazing, but there's got to be a level of solidarity sort of thing, if you know what I mean. So we'll see. Anyway, again, apologies for running this overboard, but thank you for watching. As usual, see you all very soon. Bye.